Hello everybody and welcome back. This is another video in the ongoing series I've been doing about Tofugu.com and the jet advice they were giving out in a recent article. Of course I'll link to it down below. I think we've gone through the first 13 or first 12 and I think we're on 13, so hopefully 2 more videos. Let's get right into it. What was the team teaching experience like for you? What role did you take in the classroom? Elementary school Rebecca says, I took the lead in her elementary schools with either Ego Noto or Hi Friends. My JTE was awesome and would let me make suggestions or change things as we went. So that's great. She says the Japanese teaching style seems to be more formal, traditional than in the US. More lectures, more note-taking, less interactive classes, and I think this is true. Not so much at elementary. I think the teachers at elementary know the kids need, is it TPR, total physical response? You know, they need to be active, they need to be involved. And we're trying to do that a little bit at every level of education in Japan. Have the kids be more involved in the lessons, etc. So it's not just grammar on the board and they're writing it down in a notebook and memorizing it for a test. We want to get away from that as much as we can. But you won't be in charge necessarily as an ALT, so you do have to do what you're told sometimes. Sometimes they'll be like, hey, what's your idea? Or what would you do here? Or, hey, we've got this coming up. What do you want to, what do you want to teach? So hopefully you'll get that. Speaking of teaching, I'm at my school today. I've got some after-school activities and I got a little break here, so I figured I'd wedge a vlog in. So that's why the tie and everything is going on here. All right. Junior High Matt says, my experience was anywhere from being a human tape recorder to being actively involved in preparing for each lesson. So human tape recorder is almost like a meme in ALT culture. Like, guys even one year in my time back in like 05, 06, they made like t-shirts that said human tape recorder, and we thought it was a little disrespectful to the teachers and stuff. I didn't buy one, but it was a popular shirt. You can certainly, there's dialogues in the junior high book especially, oh no, my napkin, and you drop your napkin or something, and you'll just be asked to come in and read those, and the students will repeat, and that's maybe your 10 minutes for the day. So it's sad when that's all you're asked to do, but generally I think, like I said, as the JTEs are getting younger, the older teachers with the worn out methods are retiring, you're seeing less and less of that, I hope. He says it seemed to be the teachers who had done more traveling and knew about other cultures were more likely to collaborate with me. Most of my JTEs spoke English very well, but their skills of executing a lesson varied greatly. So that's true. I mean, I consider myself a pretty good teacher. I could easily be paired with a pretty poor teacher, and our lessons could end up being mediocre. And it just depends. Hopefully, you can find that JTE that really wants to collaborate with you, and kind of like take your small victories. Like, go, okay, well that class was really good today. This class not so much, but this class, you look forward to that class in the day. Let's see what Tori says at the high school. During my first year, my schools wanted me to make me as comfortable as possible, and I often felt like a guest. But at the end of the year, I was teaching daily and doing all lessons plans for the team teaching classes. I have a degree in English education. Okay, so like I've said, my hair is weird today. This is unusual. Most of us, my degrees in history, my friends have, degrees in law, chemistry, whatever. That's unusual, so don't worry about that. But she obviously studied English, knew what she was doing, probably was able to demonstrate that. As the year went on and they trusted her and knew she knew her stuff, they gave her more to do. So that's great. I mean, if you can get into a school that will respect you and listen to you and want you to be that involved, that's an amazing assignment. Not that it's rare, but it's just good. It's what you would want, right? You want to be busy. You don't want to sit there in the staff room pretending that you're studying Japanese and trying not to go on Facebook all day long, All right. Did you face any adverse treatment as an ALT? If so, how did you handle it? Yes, but rarely at the elementary school level, says Rebecca. So that's interesting. That's all she says. So maybe she didn't want to say more about that. The biggest thing I had to learn, Matt says, is to be more proactive when things weren't going well. It was easy to blame the students, the teachers, or something else, but I had to learn to put more responsibility on myself to make things better. I can't echo that statement enough. If you're put in a shitty situation, that I empathize with you and I feel bad for you, but you can turn it around. You can make any situation you're put in better or bearable at least. It's hard to get a transfer once you get into jet. That's the sticky thing about jet. You don't get to pick where you go, and once you're there, it's really hard to change. It does happen, and maybe it happens a little more easily now than it used to. But you can get stuck where you are, and a lot of jets just say, okay, and after a year they go home, or after 2 years they give up. And that's fine, there's something to be said for turnover and having new teachers constantly. Having the kids have one teacher from 7th and 8th grade and a different teacher in 9th grade, and then they'll go to high school and have yet another ALT. They get a little bit of everything. Maybe they'll have a British person, an Australian person, a Canadian, and that's great. That's an exposure to a lot of different types of culture, a lot of different types of speaking, accent, spelling, everything. But I will say that, I think that if some things are not going well, like Matt says here in Tofugu, it's easy just to say, oh, it's that person, or oh, it's those students are horrible, or whatever. But you got to self-reflect a little bit sometimes. Go, well, what am I doing? What could I do to make it better? Could I possibly be, working harder at this somehow, or talking to the teacher more, or thinking of a new thing to do, or etc. So, yeah, put some of it on you. Be proactive, though. If you're not being treated well, don't stand for it. I mean, it's a job, and you have to respect your boss and the fact that you're an employee. But at the same time, I'm not talking about whining or like, oh, my apartment's hot, or something like that. I mean, I'm talking about if you really just have zero job satisfaction, or you're getting mistreated by a JTE or something, or you hear bad things said about yourself or something. I don't know. I mean, definitely don't take it. Stand up for yourself. Go to someone. Go to your jet liaison. You'll all be assigned a person who basically works probably in the capital of your prefecture, and their main job is to take care of all the jets in the prefecture, make sure the events run smoothly, orientations and things like that. And they are there to help you. If there's an earthquake, they want to make sure you're safe. If you need to move or need to buy a car or something like that, maybe they can help you. They can put you in touch with someone. They can hook you up with someone in your city to help you learn Japanese. All these kinds of things. They're a good resource. They're called the PA, Prefectural Advisor. And they're your link between the jet, higher-ups, if you will, the Japanese people, and you as an English speaker, especially if you don't speak a lot of Japanese. All right, my student behind me is thinking, what is he doing over there? All right, Tori says, I communicated with teachers a lot. I communicated often. So that's good, I had some teachers that kind of, when I first arrived, were very, enthusiastic because I was so different than my predecessor. We were both American, and that was about the only thing that was the same. She was a demure, 5'5", kind of mousy woman who, from what I can tell, didn't get that involved, especially the last year of her. She only stayed 2 years because she got sick and was having some problems, medical problems. So she wasn't very involved at school, etc. But the one thing she did do is she spoke Japanese well, and I did not. And so she ingratiated herself that way. And for all accounts, she was very, very nice. But you know what? If you only stay a year, you really don't make an impression. You can come away with it with a deep impression on you because, it can change you in ways you won't even understand maybe at first. But really, if you only stay a year, you'll talk to your students 3 years later and say, oh, who was your ALT when you were a 7th grader? And they won't remember your name. And I mean, that's harsh in a way. Now, I'm not, this is a generalization, of course. Of course, you can make a big impact in 1 year. But for the most part, if you just stay a year, you've really got to stay 2 years. I've always said that. You've got to stay 2 years. That way you do the whole Japanese academic year. It starts in March, April, and ends the following March, April. And so you'll get the tail end of your first year. You'll start that next year, and then that'll carry over into your second year of JET, and you'll get a whole academic year. And when those kids graduate in your second year of JET, you would have spent a whole year being their teacher, and it's a lot different. You would have done their sports day, done their bunkasai, all these things. And you can get really attached and really form bonds and stuff. And then, of course, you have the option of staying more beyond that. Most jets stay 2 or 3. 4 or 5 is still fairly rare, I think. When I first arrived, I asked my supervisor, now she's at a high school, so her supervisor was also working at her school, if I could meet with each JTE individually and discuss expectations they had for me. I had for myself, and I had for them. It was really good, and I was able to quickly gauge what was expected of me. I was also able to dispel any preconceived notions they may have had of me early on. So that's great. If you're that kind of confident in yourself and say, hey, can I have a meeting with Honda and Watanabe and Kuriyama Sensei, and I want to talk to each one of those teachers when they have some free time. Let's just chat about what's coming up, because you're going again in the middle of the school year, where we are in the book, what they need from me, what I hope to do here while I'm working, etc., etc. Great. Okay, on to question 15. I'll try to do maybe 2 more here. How much free time did your school allow? How often did you have to stay after school? Elementary school. Rebecca, this depended upon the school. With the vice principals who had more experience, they generally let me go sooner. The newer vice principals rarely sent me home early. Junior high Matt, helping with English club and speech contests were generally mandatory, but I always loved helping out with those anyway. I was given a lot of freedom to get involved in various things. When I didn't have class, I could generally work on whatever I wanted to during my free time. It was never mandatory for me to stay late if there was no English club. However, I often chose to stay a bit later to hang out with the kids. And if you've watched my videos, you know how much I emphasize and talk about the fact that you've got to get involved. If you want to be an effective ALT and you want the kids to listen to you in the classroom, you've got to be, approachable outside of the classroom. And one way of being approachable is being where they are. That means going to their brass band concerts, going to their tennis matches, going to their choir concerts, going to their soccer games, and maybe not even the games and everything, because maybe those are the weekend and you're one of those people, you don't want to give up your weekend, you have other things to do. That's fine, but go to their practices after school. Stay after school. Don't leave at 4 o'clock or 4:30. Definitely get involved. Try to pick one club maybe and really, get into that club, like really support the brass band, or really, hang out with the science club and learn about robots, or, for me, of course, as you know, if you watch my videos, it was kendo. But I really did try to spread myself around. I tried to go to everything I could. I had a car after a year, and after that first year, when I got that car, I started to drive all over the prefecture to attend matches, games, tournaments, concerts, all that kind of stuff. And it really helped a lot with my relationship with the students. And of course, speech contests, like he said, that kind of stuff that's in English is really fun. High school. I had so much free time when I wasn't teaching, which was about half the day every day. I only stayed after school when I chose to, like with helping students with individual help. I stayed after for the school club I joined too. She was in the Ikebana Club, flower arranging club. High school, they have a plethora of clubs. There's so many clubs you can join, depending on the size of your school, of course, that you can find something to devote yourself to. At least maybe just you go every Wednesday or every Tuesday and Thursday. It's time out of your life if you feel like you have other things you need to do, but it's time well spent. So again, I can't emphasize that enough. All right, so let's make this the last one, because I think my student needs to go soon, and we're at 14 minutes. Did you join any clubs? The elementary school only had clubs like once a month. Yeah, elementary school doesn't really have what's called katsudo, after school clubs. The kids do a little bit, but if they play baseball or something, sometimes that's in like a league that's outside of the school. But they'll do things like go swimming. You know, if the school has a swimming pool, maybe they're like Wednesday after school, grades 3 and 4 are going to go swimming. If you want to go swimming with the kids, go swimming with the kids. These kids are going to go pick apples one day, or these kids are going to go rice planting, or these kids are going to go do this. So you can get involved in school activities at the elementary level, but it's not quite like a club sometimes. But they usually, one thing they usually do have at most elementary schools is a brass band. So if you play any instrument or musical at all, you can really fit in there well. Junior high Matt says, yep, I joined the basketball club at most of my schools, which was always a terrific experience. I would go around to other schools like the band or tea ceremony, trying to interact with the kids, so that's what I was talking about. They started to know me more and respect me as a person. I loved working with the kids during English club. And Tori is, as I said, ikebana. She did flower arranging. Alright, so I'm going to try to do one more video. It'll be 17 through 23, so hopefully I'll be able to do it like this, just get into it and finish it up. So this is a 5-video series. If you haven't watched 1, 2, and 3, go back and watch those. I've been getting some good feedback on those, so thank you for the kind comments, etc. And my 10-year anniversary on YouTube video is still coming. I'm telling myself I'm going to get it up before October 31st. So hopefully this weekend, and more soon. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Bye.